In this video, I'm going to show you how you can easily make these vents for your models using this 3D printed vent jig. For this vent, you'll just need your basic hobby tools, including styrene sheet, your hobby knife, some sanding blocks or a file, and of course the vent jig. The jig has 4 numbers on it, and that is the length you'll have to cut your slats in millimeters. In this example, I'll be using the 10mm slats. When you get your jig, it is 3D printed, so there may be a little bit of cleanup. Here I'm just taking my hobby knife and running it through the first couple slats in the jig itself. Once your jig is prepped, go ahead and start putting in your slats. In this example, I'm using the 10mm slats. This is 0.5mm styrene sheet. Once your slats are securely in the vent jig, just go ahead and grab your file or sanding block and give the top of the slats just a nice sanding. This will bevel the edge, making the bottom of the slats nice and flat, and it'll give something for your base to adhere to when you go to glue it. The jig does have a lip on the one end. Go ahead and place your sanding block against that, and that'll ensure a nice even flat sanding. Go ahead and grab your CA glue next, apply it to the base of the vent. This jig does again have a lip on it, so you can use that as a way to line up your base before you press it down onto the slats. That's going to ensure everything is lined up nice and neat. Now the glue has cured, it's time for the trickiest part of this build. Go ahead and flip the vent jig upside down and grab a flat edge and start pressing gently on the underside of the vents. Make sure that you're applying even pressure across all the vents as to not pop one off. With the vent popped free, you can see the real value of using this vent jig. You have yourself nice evenly spaced out vents at a 45-degree angle. It's time now to start adding sides to your vent. With the first one, you want to be a little bit careful because there is not a lot of structural stability holding those vents. Take your time and just make sure you're pressing it up against a nice straight edge. Repeat the process for the second side. Once you have both sides on the vent, there's actually quite a bit of structural stability in your vent. At this time, you're going to want to go ahead and start trimming it, making sure that it's the right length before you cap off the top and bottom of your vent. I did do a little bit of shaping beforehand, and now I'm just adding the top of the vent. With the bottom applied, you now have your basic vent shape. It's time to do some trimming with your hobby knife just to make sure all the ends are nice and neat and flush with one another. Unfortunately, the vent jig does not get rid of the need to sand. Here you can see I'm sanding the sides of the vent flush so that they're nice and smooth. The other thing you're going to want to sand is the actual vent slats themselves. In this case, my vent slats stuck out fairly far, so there is quite a bit of sanding. Fortunately for you guys, I have skipped through most of the sanding. Here you can see I'm just checking the shape of the overall vent, giving it a couple more once-overs on the sandpaper. When you're happy with the final shape of your vent, just grab your toothbrush and give it a nice cleaning, get all that plastic dust out of the vents. And here's the final product, one vent ready to use, or you have yourself a great base to do additional modifications. The one thing I will say with using the vent jig is it does make vent duplication very straightforward and fast. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to get your hands on your own vent jig, the files are free. I will link them in the description. If you don't have access to a 3D printer, or if you just want to support this channel, go ahead and check out my store. It's available there, as well as other 3D printed tools. If you enjoy this kind of content, please consider subscribing, hitting that like button. Also, check out my social media accounts where you get a sneak peek of all the things that I'm working on next. That being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.